Hey, welcome to the Doc Analyzes Anything, the show where science and psychology meet. We analyze human behavior, any behavior, including walking through the grocery store, looking at every avocado and whispering today to each one.
I can relate. Do you guys smell your honeydews before you buy them or a cantaloupe?
I will not eat
Oh,
melon other than watermelon.
I
Kyle?
don't smell honeydews.
Okay.
Uh, I I don't really buy melon or honeydews. I buy a lot of avocado though, and I do the field test because if they're soft, they're
Yeah.
good. I don't whisper "not today," although I could make a habit of that.
I won't whisper it to every single one, but sometimes I'll just be like, I'll smell the honeydew and it's not smelling sweet, and then I will say, "No, not you."
I just look at the whole table and I was like, not today. Not a single one of you.
Well, because I mean, you have to have your different tests, and then I mean, I don't know, enjoy the little things in life, and you can't be completely serious, like. Because there's the avocado test with where you pop off the little tip of it, and then if it's like brown,
I don't know this. What's this?
oh yeah, hey Steve, have you heard about this one?
No, I just know how to feel if they're ripe or not.
Okay, so I don't buy avocados, but I saw this, so maybe it's a
What do you got
myth.
against avocados?
I'm just not a big
Yeah.
avocado kind of guy.
What the hell, Brad?
I don't know. All right, we digress. But yeah, so you pop the little like root tip off, and then I guess if it's like kind of brownish, then it's more ripe, and then pairing it with the feel. Versus if you pop it off and it's still really green, and then also pairing it with if it's firm, then it's not ripe.
All you just need to know is if it's slightly soft but not smashing in your hand, then it's good. That's all there is to it.
I need a
Now,
mango test.
I don't know about mangoes. I've never been good at buying mangoes, but watermelon, I cannot describe you how to know when a watermelon is ripe, but I can tell by thumping it most of the time I come out with a good watermelon. And so, uh,
Mm.
but
Is it
like that is one of
hollow or
those,
firm? It's
a little bit
hollow,
more,
right?
it's a little more hollow, but not too hollow because otherwise, like sometimes you'll get in there's like a big cavity and that tastes weird too. Like it's got to be just
Uh,
the right amount of hollowness, but I can't describe it. It is just from experience over time.
Do you have your criteria, Kyle?
no, I keep thinking of The Simpsons when they have their water test poem that they remember in Springfield. If the water's brown, drink it down. If it's black, send it back. But that's all I got.
There are all
But no,
kinds of.
I do the avocado thing though. The softness.
It is kind
That's
of
about it
crazy,
though.
like the gamble that you take when buying any form of produce, because like you're just really hoping that it's like quality. Otherwise, like you wasted your money.
It's really
Yeah.
bad because I am so picky with produce. Like I love good fruit, but I will not eat even halfway decent fruit. It has to be really good or I don't even want it. And so, like, if those strawberries don't smell like the best strawberries I've ever had, I'm not even gonna buy the carton unless it's for the
That's
kids.
fair. I mean, you only get one life, Steve.
Yeah.
You know what you want.
You got me now on like I'm gonna be very picky with my strawberries because I didn't like strawberries for the longest time growing up because they're always so sour. But then one time when I was up with Taylor and Steve and the kids up north, we went to pick strawberries, and those strawberries fresh off the like, bush garden vine, whatever you'd refer to that
The
as.
Busch Garden. Busch
Yeah,
Gardens.
bush garden.
Creeper.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those were like candy strawberry. Like if you
Yeah.
think of like candy strawberry flavoring, that's what these strawberries tasted like. And it'd be hard for me to buy store bought strawberries after having those.
Mm.
Well, since this is so completely on topic of what we're talking about today, let's introduce our topic. Someone wrote in and suggested we talk about bar behavior. This is from Mel W. and said she's been a bartender for a long time and wanted to say, like, you walk into the bar, like our tagline says, and then act as a fly on the wall and just observe people, people
Fun.
watching. What kind of behavior do we see? How would we analyze that? So that will be our
Okay.
topic today. Thank you for reaching out and assuming she wants our junk. We're going to send her some swag for giving us some ideas. Um, but before we get into that, I am your host, Dr. Steven Sparks. Along with me, as always, Kyle Sturry and Dr. Meow Meow Bradley Clements here today to talk about our experience. I do want to say, as much as I have experience in the bar observing people, I also don't know if I can do this as much justice as I should be able to, because rarely was I not one of the people that was like worth observing in the bar. You
Being
know what I mean?
observed.
I was having a good time, and so I hope we do this justice. We'll have to see how it goes, but
I like it. I like it. I do like a good people watching session. It's difficult to do without being noticed, but at that point you're just stalking if you go unnoticed. So I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know what's
I
bad.
mean, it helps being larger than most people, so they just like get uncomfortable and walk away when they notice I'm staring. So it's all right. Like there's no
Never had that
altercation
problem.
usually. It's
Yeah.
just yeah.
People feel pretty confident when they want to challenge me to a fight. Like,
For me,
we're good.
in East Lansing, it was always like fun. There's 2 to 3 bars that you just sit there, and because if you think about your classic like college bar, and you just see the individuals that are there, especially if they're there with like a crew, and the crew all share similar traits amongst one another, I would always
Mhm.
like fill in like what I think their kind of backstory is.
I mean,
Uh,
it'd probably be interesting watching the crew I was usually at. Like at home, everybody had different like ethnic backgrounds. And those that watch us on YouTube have seen Chad is from Colombia. Like we had friends from every type of background. And so I'm sure we just looked like this mixed mash melting pot of like, how did these people
m-
come together? You know what I mean?
mix
But
mash melting pot of mischief.
I was
yeah,
gonna
and
say
it
you're just
was
the
too.
melting pot of the crew,
Coined it.
or you are a melting pot of a crew.
Yeah, and I am the not representative of any group. I'm the uncultured swine of the group as well. Um, but then in college, it wasn't as much of that, but it was just like nobody had the same style. It wasn't like you had like a bunch of people that you would think would go together. Um, it would have been interesting to watch us from afar, I think. So we'll get in a little bit about some of my bar behavior, but
A little taste.
yeah.
So I guess we can somewhat tie this into like a behavioral thing, or like how people act in there. But how often, when interacting with people in bars, or even like where you avoid some people, would you do it based off of like assumptions of what they're like? Because kind of like what I said, there was a lot of people in bars that I would not interact with because I would just assume that they're like not nice people.
Hmm.
I
Why would you
gave
assume that about somebody, Brad?
In the land or East Lansing college bars, there's a lot of guys that just looks like they would be like typical Greek life, not nice guys that probably, yeah,
they were part of a club and you weren't part of that club and they thought their club was cooler than your non-existent club. Is that what you're getting at?
exactly. And so then I would always, and maybe I'm making a very false assumption about these individuals. Maybe they're very nice, but they just didn't strike me as the kindest of folks to um, do. Like, I'm blanking on a
Here's
word.
we'll start with a story just because I am so against confrontation, as we've talked about previously. When I was confronted with a group like that, I would purposely act in a way that made them confront how they portrayed or act themselves. So one time I was at a bar. My friend was graduating. She was a year older than me at Western Michigan University. I'm walking around, still probably like 21, 22, something like that. And she had a tiara on and a sash for graduation that she, after a few drinks, didn't want to wear anymore. So she put the crown on me, the tiara. And I just walked around, and there were a lot of the university football players there. And so I just like found every biggest guy that looked mean in the bar and made them tell me I looked pretty. I just walked around and did it, every single one of them. And like they'd be flustered because I'm doing this in a semi-aggressive but also joking manner. So they're like, obviously, this is not a situation where this person is trying to fight us, but they aren't afraid if we react negatively. Like they didn't know what to do in this, and so that is how I handled people that acted like they were, or looked like they were trying to act tough at
Can
a
you
bar.
imitate
That's what.
how you would approach them and what it might have sounded like?
Right. I want to see that too.
Hey, tell me I'm fucking pretty. Something like that. That's about.
Can that be my ringtone?
Yes. Every time I call, that's just that in the background.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So that is a glimpse into how much I just stay away from confrontation throughout most of my life there. But I think before we get into the groups of people at the bar, or I guess as we get into it, we can talk about the bars themselves, because you're going to expect to see kind of different groups at different places. And so like thinking about at the club, there always seem to be, and we're talking like dance club style, two types of people there. And usually it was based on the gender. Like the ladies tended to want to dress nice, go out and dance and enjoy themselves. And the guys were either there to be seen or to try to talk to the ladies and dance with them. You know what I mean? It was not, it's not universal. It is a overgeneralization, but none of the guys that I knew that went to these places were ever there because they were looking to dance themselves. You know what I mean? So, that's a little bit different. Like you're going to still see and have some interesting people watching, but it's pretty clear unless you have money, want to be seen in VIP, depending on the club and the area you're in. Otherwise, you're just there like to drink and try to interact with others, or to dance and not be interacted with by others.
I was never a big dancer. I don't know what I enjoy. I enjoy a good. I love a good wedding reception.
Yes.
Like those are fun. I don't like we're here to dance.
There is a
You know what I
very
mean?
fine line of the amount of intoxication. It can't go above or under, where I at least think I'm a very good dancer and I'm more than willing to get out there with you. But the maintenance of that level is almost impossible. And so it's 5-10 minutes and then I'm done.
Kyle, I'm right there with you. And I've always thought that, like going to like any type of bar, clubby type scene and dancing with like this huge group of people like I don't know, I just feel so odd and so anxious because I don't know these people. But like a wedding reception, I have no issues with dancing there. Like it's pretty enjoyable.
I don't feel even comfortable at a wedding reception doing it until I have that level of intoxication that's like just right. But I will say it's much nicer at a wedding reception because those clubs, by like an hour in, everybody's just sweaty. You can feel the moisture in the air, the smells. I mean, there's nothing good about that. And everybody's going to be looking like a mess.
Yeah.
Within a few minutes. Like I would go because that's where the people I'm with thought it was a good idea to go, not because it's where I wanted to be at all.
Yeah, I had one friend in undergrad that he liked going there, and I mean he danced his little heart out and he had a lot of fun doing it. But just seeing like the sweat drip off of him in the middle of this like packed pretty much basement bar, like it looked disgusting. Like you gotta go home and take a long shower after that. Like you can't just crawl into bed drunk like that.
And yeah, the worst part is they were always looking to just like boot out anybody that they thought might be a little bit of trouble. Like I got kicked out of the same club 3 times one night, and I'm like, I'm sick of having to pay to get it back in here. And finally they started noticing and just stood by the door so I couldn't get back in again. But
why'd you get kicked out though?
I'm not going to contribute to the delinquency of minors here, but I will say something about like if you happen to have some alcohol on you, they'll take the X's off your hands quite easily that mark that you are underage, so you can obtain alcohol. But what actually got me in trouble is I looked old enough, I was fine, but a girl in our group was witnessed taking a drink of my beer, and they did not seem of age. And then at that point, they checked my ID and I was out. So
fun.
Yeah, then I'm stuck outside, can't get in anywhere else, just bored while everybody else stays inside. It was not fun. So
now I picture Steve in the corners like kicking the stones on the ground.
Yeah,
like, kick me out of my bar.
it was not fun. So then you have like, I kind of think, whiskey bar, almost kind of like microbrewery at the same time, that unless you're they're trying to look fancy and like you are out of place, but you want to look in place, like you are a patron of a nice whiskey bar, maybe business meeting, acting like you know what you're talking about. otherwise you tend to be there more for the socialization about the alcohol you're consuming itself. You know, I mean,
I do see that a lot. Yeah.
like
Well, I mean, even you
I
kind
don't.
of seeing it I mean, what we're more familiar with, the brewery scene. I mean, you're not seeing your local frat guys at the
You
brewery.
really are having an issue with these. They really did a number on you in
What
college,
what
didn't
they do
they?
to
I
you?
don't like them. They're not nice people most of the time, or at least in college, they just seem like not nice people. As Jameson would
I
What's
say,
this?
they probably don't have nice hands.
I I I think you need to be careful with the generalization of everybody that was in a frat, but there is the
And
stereotypical idea
yes,
of the frat person. I don't know. I worry that you're gonna have some angry messages that you're never going to hear or see coming through
yeah, it's
because you're
okay.
just attacking a group of people that may not be entirely problematic, but maybe they are. I don't know.
Which I know it is a bad generalization, and believe me, I do know that they're not all bad. I mean, one of my closest friends, he was a frat guy, and so I know that they're not all bad. But just some of them, they just look not nice.
There's one good guy.
One,
The diamond in the rough.
but kind of the same point. If you think of someone who's like the suit, if you will, the businessman coming in trying to show off to his clients or friends, like, oh, look at this whiskey bar, look at all these good things, buying the expensive stuff instead of actually knowing what's going to taste good for people. It almost fits the same stereotype as well, and that's who I'm talking about. Who what might also be seen at like a nice whiskey bar rather than the
Mm.
actual people who are obsessed with it, trying a new bourbon or something like that. So
Very true.
it just, you don't expect in that type of setting to see your average you know variety or range of people that you might see at any hole in the wall in any given town. Then the upscale like mixology type places where it's cool to try different things, do different things, but I always think of that in terms of like you walk into a new city, you've just landed, you don't know where to go, so you just check out something that's highly rated, and you'll get an entire mix of people, but only the people that want to be seen there from that area are going to go there. Otherwise, you have a lot of people probably visiting from out of towns in that type of place. But that might be an overgeneralization too.
Those are places with like the $22 gin and tonics, though, too. They're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I've only
Yeah.
been to a handful of places that are like mixology type. One down near Savannah, Georgia. I really liked it, and the drink was incredibly good. Like, you don't go to that kind of place to get like absolutely hammered, and like watching the mixologists actually like take care into like what they're making you, I thought was very cool.
He really honed his craft.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that here in a minute too, because one of the questions or things that Mel brought up in this was the idea of like we walk into the bar and say, okay, make me your favorite drink to the bartender. And depending on who you're talking to and what type of setting, that might have a very different reaction from the bartender or what you might get. And so we can talk about that in a minute too. But it is very cool to go and see how they can effectively mix flavors and do that sort of thing. But that's also, it doesn't seem like the sort of thing that if you want to go there more than a handful of times, otherwise, like you're just going to be running out of ideas at some point, unless you have a favorite drink that only they make or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than your average hole in the bar, hole in the wall, like town bar, or just if you're in town, there's a couple of them and you choose which one to go to, sort of thing. The last one I had on the list is the college bar. And do you all think, maybe this is just in my head, but the idea of the college bar seems to have changed drastically over the last like 50 years or so.
I think the
Hmm.
college bar now has a lot more of a clubby type feel.
It
Like, there's
can be
always a
clubby.
dance floor.
Yeah, it could be clubby. It could just be a mess. Everybody's just out there acting a fool, really, a lot of the time. But I think of like if you watch A Beautiful Mind, or this idea of like Goodwill Hunting. You have these academics and these students sitting around talking, having good conversation, and maybe that's just like the movie stereotype. And then every time since I've been around, like, nope, it is just a messy free for all in that type of situation. But I do think there is a little bit to what the picture of what they used to be, because I know when I was going through school, B.F. Skinner, who helped design our field, we would hear, he actually, is the basis, his findings are the basis of our entire science, would go to Western Michigan University back. I mean, he died in 1990, so well before I was there. But he'd come in, and all the professors and all the students would go to the local bar, and they'd drink beer and they'd talk science and like have that type of stereotypical, scene that you think of from those movies that doesn't seem to exist anymore. That maybe it's a good thing because
So it was
maybe
like
there's a lot.
way more intellectual. Is that what like it used to be more intellectual?
Yeah, and it maybe partially intellectual. At least in the movies, it seems a little more highbrow than it is now. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more controlled, but I'm also thinking that that might have a lot to do with the fact that you're potentially putting yourself in a bad situation if you're a professor out drinking with your students now versus,
Hmm.
I mean, 10, 11 years ago, we still would have parties at some of the professors' houses, and things could get a little bit wild here and there. 20 years ago, I think they were still out drinking, partying, and sometimes even dating their students, and nobody was really doing much about it. And so maybe it has to
Toning
do
down on
with,
that.
yeah, maybe it's the awareness of the power dynamics and how that can cause someone to be in a situation they may not want to be in. Is part of why that changed too. I'm not sure, but
I do kind of wish though that the college bar had more of that feel, at least. And I guess I went to Michigan State, so the college bar scene is going to be completely different than like other colleges. So you also have to take that into consideration. But like what you were describing sounds way more enjoyable because like when I go out, I want to sit and be able to have a conversation with another person. Like the worst thing was when you're out with your friends and you can't hear them because it's like so loud. And I know I sound so vain
Man,
in that. So
my wife
yeah.
hates that too. I don't mind a loud bar, but if you want my wife to tune out, it is a loud bar where you can't hear each other talk. She's like, "Let's go. What are we doing
yeah,
here?"
I will say I never minded a loud bar when I was younger. Now I'd rather have a conversation, but I think there was different motivations at the time too. Like by the time I was towards the end of grad school, I would try to turn every bar into one of those intellectual bar type scenarios, whether people wanted me to or not. I probably said like the story before, but there was more than a handful of times where I'd go up to the bar to order my next drink, and someone randomly sit at the bar like, "Hey, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, you just opened a can of worms
Mhm.
you were not ready for." And like 30 minutes later, I'm explaining to them why everything they know about the world is wrong and none of it exists, and then walking away just like, I wonder what I just did to their brain while they're drinking here, you know?
They
Like
loved you for it, Steve.
the existential crisis that I would create just by my normal conversation, not even like purposefully, but uh because of that's what I was thinking about at the time.
How many
That
times did they offer to pay you to leave them alone 10 minutes in?
usually they'd either be interested at first and then by the end just like kind of like blank, like, oh my, what just happened? Or like I never had people that just acted uninterested or just like wanted me to stop, as much as like the "Well, that's really cool" changed into like, wait, what? And then I'm like, all right, see you later, and I'd leave at that point because my job was done. You know what I mean?
Nobody that you knew of, at least.
Right. Nobody offered me money personally, and I may or may not
Right,
have taken it.
right.
Um, but going back to like what the college bars are now and like the volume, we treated every bar like it was a college bar, regardless if it was or not when I was younger. And so everything was a party.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I don't know if it really could have been that way because I can't imagine that young people just generally have changed unless we were
Mhm.
outliers and just didn't realize it. I think
Well, I feel like everyone, when you're young, I mean, you are just going out excited. I mean, we've all been there, I think, where you're just there to party. And definitely, like, it's just that age from 21 to 24, 25. I feel like where, like, you're just trying to go crazy.
I see this in my even like my son's 14 this month, but him and his friends, like I'll drive him to like their they're going to the park or something, I'll drive them over and drop them off. And like the whole way, they're like rolling down windows and like yelling at people in cars. And I'm like, why are you yelling at people at cars? You're gonna make someone real mad. And they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like there's no barometer for anyone else. And that's probably still playing
Yeah.
into like late adolescence, early college age, where you're just, I'm at a bar, this is what I do. Doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
I was probably
Maybe that's
30 when
my
I
issues because I did care what people think or thought.
Yeah.
yeah. Never care about what people think. I still know.
Well, there is a level of discernment that you should have, but
I was fine at any bar as long as they didn't care if I walked around with a full pitcher in my hand drinking out of it like it was my beer mug. Like that
We'd
was
always
my
do
barometer.
that in the East Lansing bars where we would get a pitcher and then, just drink it straight out of the pitcher. But then I was at a bar in Mount Pleasant one time. I said, I'll take a pitcher of Miller Lite or whatever. And she goes, oh, like, okay, how many cups do you need? I go, I don't need any cups. She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't need cups. And she just looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, I'll take my 64-ounce pitcher of beer, please.
Yeah.
Did you party at the Riv?
Dude, I went to the Riv probably only like 3 or 4 times. It was always Lou and Harry's in East Lansing.
Oh, yeah.
And then Tin Can was a frequent flyer, but because Tin Can was way more of the lower key where you just get your beer and then you can go play like Pong or whatever, but it wasn't like Rick's. Rick's and Harper's were just crazy places for me. And one, I also couldn't justify waiting in those lines. Like those were crazy.
That's why
the lines were rough.
You get to know people, like get to know the bouncer so they let you in the back door so you don't have to wait in the long lines. Like there are ways around these issues.
Yeah, but I didn't go enough to make my presence known, and so it just wasn't going to happen.
I also think the evolution of the college bar life was interesting. Like when we were in undergrad, had no money, like it was all about what has the special tonight. We had like a circuit of like $1 or $2 beer, the $2.50 you call it, like little mixed drinks, whatever. Like whatever was cheapest, that is where we spent our time, is we couldn't afford something that actually tasted good.
What defines
Jello shots, quarter Jello shots?
Depending on how strong they were. Otherwise, that might be a waste of money. You know what I mean? Like,
what defines that you call it?
You get to choose what the bottom shelf liquor and a mix-in is, and then like there's different places have different rules, and I don't even know if they do it anymore. But then they had the plate like pitchers, pitcher night at Waldo's, and it was $6.50. You call it pitcher of mixed drinks, and so they'd give you one of the smaller size, but still way too large. Fill it up 100% with ice. Pour half. Mix in half bottom shelf liquor and you were good at $6.50. You wanted Long Island iced tea or something like that. It was a little more at like $7.75, something like that. And by the end, I started getting too much heartburn from all like the pop that was mixed in. And I got to know the bartender well enough that she would just like fill it with ice, pour it half full of whiskey, and then hand it over everybody's head to me so I could just drink that and walk around. But,
it's good for their
it's their bottom line. I was looking out
bottom
for
line.
That's really what's going on.
I want to lose 25 cents on this eighth of a soda.
Somebody finally fell into a construction hole outside the bar one time, and the police came and told them they had to stop doing it to that extent. Like the pitchers may have still been there, but they were much weaker after that occurrence. So.
For me, because we didn't have it was mug night at Lou and Harry's, and so I have my collection of Lou and Harry's mugs. For me, though, how I knew that the night was going to take, it was going to be longer than it was, but take a turn for the worst in the morning was it hit probably 12:30. I'm like, all right, I'm starting to get a little tired. It is time to hit a mug of vodka Red Bull.
Yeah, there was a bar that ended up having all kinds of issues.
Behavior in that one?
You got to wake up. There was a place near the first bar I went to when I moved to Kalamazoo that I think it was Tuesday night had $5. They call it the Mantini. And it was a 25-ounce vodka Red Bull. And that Tuesdays, it was not the place we wanted to hang out, but if we didn't wanted to go out on a Tuesday, that often is where we went just because we could afford to
I'm going to
drink.
take a guess at where this was.
Yeah.
Was it Up and Under?
No. Up and Under only ever really did the Foster oil can deals. This was at
Was it down and over?
No. This was at Y Bar.
Oh.
So
Which actually, so then even going where I'm curious on your take on this, because I really like this place in Kalamazoo, but it's definitely away from the college bar scene, but I still see a fair amount of like young people there. And where would you put this one? And it's a fun place that people watch, but Shakespeare's, where on the bar spectrum would you put that?
Shakespeare's is one of those, like, it's a party bar, but everybody can walk in. Like, you might see someone of any age range, although usually by the late in the night, it's just younger people.
Mhm.
Not all college students, but a good mix. And nobody is welcome and everybody's welcome at the same time. You know, like the
Yeah.
bouncers don't like that you're there at all, regardless of who you are. But they're not going to single out any one person because of how they're acting or dressed unless they're causing a problem. So
Yeah. Because I think that's one reason I've always really liked Shakespeare's. Is it like using that term melting pot again? But it's a melting pot of a bar. I feel
you
like.
like Shakespeare's because it was the first bar you went to underage, and so
No,
that is
I
why
mean,
you have
Aw.
it
nostalgia.
has lore
Nostalgia.
within my life, but also like
Young
it's always
Brad.
been the tried and true.
So, yeah. No, I was gonna ask, are we gonna analyze some bar behavior?
Yeah, let's get back on topic here, you guys. Quit derailing my conversations here.
There's plenty
It
of
was
opportunities throughout all
Brad's
of those
fault.
to discuss different
Yeah.
like behaviors that go on at each bar
So
type on the spectrum.
if we were gonna dive into each one differently, we definitely could do that. Like the college bar, obviously, I think a lot of the guys are going out trying to meet ladies. Now, hopefully they're not all out trying to be misogynistic assholes and just, find someone to go home with and then treat them horribly and not talk to them the next day. I think a lot of us were actually looking for some sort of companionship, even though that's not the best place while highly intoxicated to meet somebody. It's not usually gonna end well. We usually would just take a pool table, and then if someone meandered over to our area, we'd engage in conversation with them that way. Or Up and Under, the ring game. Watching my college friends uncomfortably walking around trying to talk to women was so cringy that there's the hook on the wall or on the post, the ring hanging from a string, and you just sit there. And I got so good at it that I had more conversations start because of the ring game than I ever did just randomly approaching people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But let's talk about your average bar. You're sitting there, someone walks in, you walk in, what are they doing? What are they saying? My first thought is like, all right, standing, are you a stander or a sitter? You facing the bar, facing the door? Does it matter to you? And why might people choose certain things when they're doing that?
All right. So you're really breaking it down.
And this was, Mel, when she wrote in, mentioned the standing or sitting, not like the which way you're facing, what's going on there. But
Right.
I think that's
okay.
an interesting, who's around you, what is your purpose, what's the intent?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm a lazy person. If I can help it, I want to sit. But depending on the power dynamic, the situation, I think some guys may choose to stand, one, to kind of have a power stance over other men if they feel the need to. Usually at some level of overcompensating, maybe not really feeling as sure about themselves as they could. Or making it so it's more of a spectacle, like, look at me, for any women they might be interested in. Um, but I think sometimes it's even more of a power move. Like, someone walks in the room, they expect you to stand up and shake their hand, and be like, acknowledge them as not necessarily as an equal, but of someone that like you need to attend to. And just like, hey,
Yeah.
slapping their hand real quick and then going back to your conversation can be even more of a power move than the standing over or standing up, that sort of thing.
I would say I'm a sitter. I don't like to stand. I don't know if I think about if I'm facing the door or not, though. I don't go that in.
I feel like an easier way to put it is facing the bar or not. The door one,
Yeah.
that's I don't
Okay.
put any thought into that one.
Have you ever been in a situation where, like, because this is rare. Most of the time, you just say hi to people or talk to them, whatever. But where somebody obviously is trying to be dominant in the conversation by standing over you. Like, have you ever had that feeling in a
Uh,
conversation at the bar with somebody?
yeah. I
No.
mean, yeah, I know people like that.
Yeah.
So I
I
would see them doing that there.
I've had it done to me that I mean I can tell that you're trying to pull something here, and so I'm just gonna smile and nod, recognizing that I don't need to stand up to size up with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
What about the dude who
don't
shakes your hand so hard that your hand wants to like
Just
fall
breaks.
off? You ever
I
have that?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I've had that. I mean, that's like any time when someone comes in first, because I'm all for a firm handshake, but when they come in fast and hard and like
It's like
squeeze the
they're
hell out of my
visibly
hand,
shaking. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, like why did
a-
you do that?
Yeah.
again, it's got to be that they think they're making a power move. It's like I don't know why. Like, to me, I don't even attend to the strength of someone's handshake. I mean, it does not cross my mind whatsoever,
Yeah.
unless it
There's
is
those guys though
unnecessarily
that do
hard.
it. Yeah. That
But
like there's those guys who like, hang on, here we go.
but
Shake your hand. And like
but I
Just
feel
squeeze.
like
ripped your arm out of socket.
again, I think that says more about them and their idea. Like, I have to find a way to be a manly man in this situation.
Hmm.
Like, what is it about their learning history at this time that makes them so uncomfortable that they have to do that to assert something? You know what I mean? That's the strange part. I think someone that acts completely unintimidated by you, if you're trying to be intimidating, is probably more, I don't know if scary is the right word, but it's going to catch someone's attention, make someone a little more uncomfortable than somebody who's in there coming on stronger. It's like, oh, you're just being a jerk, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. They're obviously intimidated by me, I think.
One form of the handshake that I'm familiar if you guys have ever built a correlation with, but I think I have, because you always come in with the standard like hand parallel to the ground handshake. But then I've had, and they're always
Like
really nice.
this?
Like if you come in like, sorry, I wanted to
Like
be
that.
seen.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You
wanted
know,
to
you
be
always
seen
do
on
this when you
camera.
shake.
No, like this. But then, and they've always been really nice people. But when they put their hand out to shake, they'll put it like this, so it's coming at like I come at a downward angle to shake their hand. But they're always
Oh
the
yeah.
nicest people. Have you guys ever noticed that?
I, I, l-
Mm,
I pay zero attention to the handshakes. I have to be, unless you do like the thumb to the fingertips and then the snap. And then I'm like, all right, you've lived a different life at some point.
I
Yeah.
didn't do that.
Kyle with his hitchhiker thumb here.
I do the I do when somebody's going for the handshake, I like to give them the fist and just make it as awkward as
And then
possible.
they twist it around in their hand, make it really weird.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do the awkward
Yep.
if I see it, and I don't actually do this, pure joking, but if I see their hand coming in for the handshake, I throw my hand into the fist for the fist bump, and then when I see their hand start to unfold to then go to, or then when I see their hand start to go into the fist, then I
Mm,
unfold mine, and then we just do this back and forth.
yep.
It's
Doing
called
the
milking the
devil's
cow.
work there. Yeah, milking the cow.
Milking the cow.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless someone is really trying to show off, I don't even look at handshakes whatsoever. But I do know that there's that old, like, and it seems like a, I don't know, 1920s, 1930s farmer, like, hey, that guy couldn't shake my hand hard enough, my daughter can't marry him sort of feel to it. I
Hmm.
don't know.
The old adage.
As far as watching the door, back to the door, that one is 100% me. I want to see everybody coming in and out of a space still to this day, even though I know there's not actually a threat most of the time. It's just I feel much more comfortable seeing what's going on, either the majority of the room or that doorway, the path of my escape. And I'm sure it has to do with experiences in my youth that were like potentially dangerous. But now it's just to the point where I feel a slight level of discomfort if I can't do that.
Mm.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that before. And there's this one lady that I knew one time, and she stated that, but like her job, she's like my training, and I'm like, ma'am, you work like a desk job for the Secretary of State. Like, what training are we referring to?
I mean, maybe they're worried about people becoming irate at the Secretary of State. That is a very frustrating place to go
It
get your
is. It
license
is.
renewed. So
It is.
maybe they have special. I don't know.
I
Uh,
don't know.
Another one that Mel brought up I thought was interesting is, and we kind of alluded to it already, but all right, what are you ordering? Do you always order the same thing? Are you trying to think of something new? Are you trying to think quickly just to not waste the bartender's time? Or how about those that are like, hey, how about you make me what you'd want, or it's your favorite drink or something like that? And does that have any more meaning to it, you know?
Mm, to simplify it before we dive into it that deep, do you guys have any difference in thoughts as if when you're with a crew of people and if they go liquor versus beer, like do you have different thoughts on like what they're trying to do with the night or that they have
I have
or
more
does
Depends on
it
thoughts
how
about
make
much.
sense?
Yeah, I have more thoughts
Yeah.
about where my night might go if I make the same decision rather than them. Is unless it's a good friend that I know is going to get wild if they have some liquor. I just
Mhm.
assume people know how to handle themselves.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
if I'm getting mixed drinks, I'm either only having one or it's gonna be a long night, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I just I don't do liquor most of the time unless you're at a whiskey bar and you're sipping and having a few different things to try.
Yeah. 'Cause I mean, Gypsy, we'll go there and because theirs are never too strong either.
This is Gypsy Distillery for anybody.
In
Yeah, I
Petoskey,
didn't know.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Petoskey.
It's
Yeah.
cool because they took an old horse, like it's not just a barn, it is like a
An
equestrian
equestrian
center
center. Yeah.
and turned it into their distillery and like there's yard
Whoa.
games, free pool table, darts, shuffleboard. Like
Ho-
it's a cool place to just go
horse
and hang
rides?
out.
No horse
No
rides.
pony rides
Yeah.
because they're worried
Never
about
mind.
creeps like you, Kyle. So
Yeah.
Wee.
Um, yeah, that's like if you go to a place like that, obviously, then you're gonna get what they have. But they have their like predetermined mixology sort of menu and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I will say when this was put into the suggestion, my first thought was like, I have been there, not thought ahead of time what I wanted, not been able to think of something off the top of my head because it's been so long since I've been regularly at the bar. And I'm like, oh, what do you think? But depending on the scenario, it probably really depends on what that does to the server as well. Like if you're at a place that's a little bit more high end that might have some good drinks in the menu or a good mixologist, they can like come up with something. There's a restaurant, there's a lot of them like this, but in that we go to every year or two around here that has a great mixologist and like you'd almost be doing yourself a disservice to just order something on the menu or a regular drink. Like you want them to like come up with something new on the fly. Um, but if you go to a hole in the wall and say that, they're gonna be like, yeah, here's your shot. Like move aside,
Yeah.
I'm getting the next person's drink. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it might depend on the person. It obviously depends on the person ordering, but it could be that, hey, I want to have a reason to learn more about you or have more of a conversation. Maybe they're interested in the bartender. Maybe they just really can't think of an idea, or maybe they're trying to find something new. Um, I don't know. I think when I was younger, I always knew what I wanted, and now that I don't drink very often, unless it's a brewery where I know what beer, like usually I'm trying to try as many samples as I can. I'm like, all right, I've tried these two already. Now I want to try this one, that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I go exactly with that is if I'm at a brewery, I'm gonna try all the different things. Or even someplace like Shakespeare's where they have a wide variety of a tap list. I'm gonna try to find something along the lines of something that I would typically like in a craft beer. But if I'm going to more of like a like tin can, if you guys know that one,
Hmm.
or
Let's say Green Top for those sticking Kalamazoo. That's
yeah,
like
yeah, green
one of the
top.
oldest
Like
bars in town.
I'm doing the tried and true. I like to me just that feel, that environment has that tried and true feel of doing a Miller Lite or a Coors.
There you go.
I can
Y-
see you snapping back into that, walking, into that. I brought up Green Top just because it is such an essential place in town. There, like we're talking Prohibition times. They had the speakeasy set up. Like it's been around forever, and so
Well, when we were there last time, I don't know if you noticed it, but the door that went down into the basement that you could see the brick cement walls, I
yeah.
was just like, I want to go down there. There's nothing down there, but I want to go.
So the previous owners were elderly, and there was a couple times where I'm like, "Please let me come help you with this keg." Like I'm seeing this person carrying it. I'm like, "Please," but they would not. So,
Man.
um,
I don't know if you've heard this one, but I said in front of Taylor and Steve one time about how don't worry, I'll buy the kids like Bud Light or Miller Light when they're in college and they're not 21. Not
Perfect.
actually. Then the thing that frustrated him the most, he's like, if you're gonna buy him stuff, at least buy him good stuff. And I'm like,
yeah, what do you think this is? Um, but there's also, the person that is there trying to show off their fluency, or usually the people that are trying to show that off don't have it as well as they like everybody to think they do. You know what I mean? And they're
do you
they're just trying
incorporate
to.
the people that wear their money entirely while also throwing down the card?
Yeah, it's
Where
that whole
it's a
like.
little bit more clear, or they just literally have that much money.
Yeah, there's like
Mm.
there's the different types. There's like, you have a lot and you like to dress to show it, or you don't have a lot but you want to dress like you want to show it. Then there's, your average, I just wear what makes sense but I think looks good. And then you have the extremes, like they have so much money that they're wearing things that nobody knows are that nice and that expensive. You know what I mean? It's like beyond the
We don't
bespoke,
get it.
like, yeah, like
It's not
if you,
for me.
no, it's not for you to even know that is that nice sort of thing. And like usually,
I put that together. Typically nowadays, if I don't recognize a logo on something, I assume and yeah, I assume that it's just gonna cost way too much. And so then when I look it up and I see the
You're
price, I'm like,
cooler than me.
that's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
yeah.
What about this sick, sadistic thing where groups of people split the check evenly just for convenience sake? Even
Oh,
though
no,
like I got a
yeah.
water and fries and they got the filet mignon, like, yeah,
See,
let's split it up across the board.
to me, that's the opposite side of it. Like you want to order more, but you don't have the
Mhm.
money. And so now you're
Yeah.
trying to screw everybody else with part of your bill. Extreme version of that. We used to go in high school. There was wing night where this bar, like nobody was drinking. We're all like 15, 16, 17, but like 35-cent chicken wings. You'd go there with a group of like 20 people. Everybody would count
Mhm.
how many wings they have, throw down their money, and then you wanted to be out the door quick because whoever was there last was certainly going to get caught with an extra $20 on their bill every single time. And like it was always like I got to be the first one to finish eating, and then we'd go and cruise our
Yeah.
cars and drive fast and act crazy. But like as a crew, but you knew that if you were the last one out, you were in trouble. And so
Man.
Because then you compile
Yeah.
it all and see what the
yeah,
difference
and,
is.
and like the tax, like nobody's counting tax in with
Yeah.
their wings.
I have
You know what I mean?
21s. Yeah.
Uh,
I've been in awkward scenarios where I'm like, you guys ordered more than me. I'm
Yeah.
not paying for
No.
a portion of your food that I didn't even get to eat. Sorry.
No, if you either you pay for my meal or we split it evenly or I'll pay for yours. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
I mean not split it, like you pay for what you actually ordered. Like
Yeah.
there's no
Or
reason.
you have the people that will do it, but then keep tabs on how many times they've done it or like the price difference rather than just doing it out of a courtesy. That one
Mhm.
kind of frustrates me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
if I'm buying something, I never expect it back. But you also have to, like what I was getting at is you have to be careful because if you are the type that wants to buy something and you don't know the other people too well, now you risk that idea of it, you trying to look like, or you might be looking like you're trying to show off when you're really just trying to be a nice person as well. And so you
Yeah.
never know exactly how it comes across unless you're with close friends. And then sometimes they'll even be like, quit trying to buy my drinks, jerk, And so, all right. So the last thing that Mel wrote in that I think is very interesting that I think we should touch on too is as the bartender, she said she was very good at being able to observe the people because of how much time she spent observing people. And so you could almost get a feel of who was looking to go home with someone, who might actually be successful going home with someone, who might be trouble when it comes to paying their tab. Who do you need to go check on to see if they're okay in the bathroom, either because maybe they've had too much or that person you're with looks like they might be a little overbearing or maybe have some cruel intentions sort of thing. And I think that is an interesting behavior behavioral phenomenon to end on, because I know that I was always fairly in the dark as to whether someone was interested. I've never been able to be good at picking up that sort of thing. Um, Neither was Taylor, which is nice because we can both be oblivious together. Like, she didn't know I was flirting with her for like months until like finally came to fruition that it was obvious at that point. Uh the I had friends that like always seemingly would find someone to pair up with. Unfortunately, they also tend to be the ones that were not treating the opposite sex with as much respect as you would have liked them to. But it was like they would pick up on nuances that I was missing completely. And so when Mel mentioned it, it's like it is very much contingency controlled. You know, it is, you pick up on these things because of the patterns you're observing over time that you may or may not be able to actually define for someone. You know,
Yeah.
could my friend tell me why he was successful in times when I was not? Not necessarily. Like, half the time I thought he was being a kind of a crude asshole, and like, nope, it actually worked. You know what I mean? And maybe then you get those guys like, oh, girls just don't like nice guys. Like, no, there is other body language things. There are other things going on, nuance, that you're generally are overgeneralizing, and then you're going to come across as a jerk, but still not be successful. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's an MO too. Like if you're in a party bar, for example, and behave that way, as opposed to being like at the library or grocery store, it might reap different results depending on the setting you're into.
You take the not nice guy at the bar, put him into a grocery store trying to pick up women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's
imagining that.
probably not going to be great. Yeah.
And again, it depends on the type of bar. Like the dance club, I know that they've come up with women-only dance clubs just so guys will stop being annoying and pain in the
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I've known guys that they seemingly did well, but it was because they just played the numbers game, knowing that they're going to get turned down 100 times before they're successful. So they're just going to ask everybody to come hang out with them until someone finally says sure. You know what I mean?
Whew.
And
That's a marathon. Whew.
and
I mean,
again,
that's got to be a morale killer. That's one where you are not a rattled individual.
it is the interesting thing though, it is the schedules of reinforcement. You know, I mean, if you have enough success at some point to be able to learn this rule that it will occur on an average of every like 50 times, then you're not going to be as offended by the 49 times the same way that somebody who doesn't feel comfortable doing that all the time gets, you know, shut down once or twice and they're like, all right, I'm going to give up. This isn't working. And so as long, again, you gotta be careful because I don't want it to sound like we're giving tips to people that are assholes, you know what I mean? But again, if you're out there
in analyzing their behavior,
right? But
we're not. You are.
But at the same time, if you
safe,
if you got your Dr. Meow Meows out here, like, hey, last 2 days didn't go well, I'm just gonna go sit on my hands and not ask the next 20 girls I see. That's not going to get you any success either. So let's look at it on that side. I am trying to help those who may be discouraged, I'm not discouraged.
I'm just not trying to interfere with their night. Like, I'm sitting over here. I'm like, it looks like they're having a good time. They don't need me there.
It looks like they're having a good time. I would definitely damage that good time. So I'm not.
I would.
No, that's the right answer.
I'm going to save them from that.
You're right. No,
that's the right answer, Brad. That's, as my boys get older, that is something that I've been like, hey, here are some examples of how not to be in public. And one is bothering people that don't want to be bothered.
Yes.
Like,
well, and
sorry.
That is true too. I'm not talking about walking up to a random table of people having a conversation.
You did that.
I have done that before, sure. But
we were out and there was, and he was trying to set me up with these, like one of these girls.
They looked bored as hell. They were all looking on their phones, not talking to each other.
That's what the kids do now, though, Steve.
Anyways, we're sitting at a table over, and I started the conversation to try to get him an in, and that was all.
And I felt like I was bothering them.
I think, but you would feel like you're bothering them, even if they thought they did want to talk to you. Is my point here.
Probably. Was your opening line sorry?
No.
Sorry.
That's like my
I
favorite opening line when like doing anything with people. Hey man, I'm really sorry.
I'm talking more though, like you walk up to the bar for a drink and start a conversation with the person next to you. Is it just like, oh hey, how's it going? Or
Yeah, I
do
just don't
you?
do that.
Yeah, I know you don't. That is the point I'm making. Is if you do that much, even you have to do that if you're gonna have any success in these situations whatsoever. But please don't just go around telling every woman or man you meet that you love them until one of them says, "Oh, really?" You know what I mean? Like that, because that is what some of these gentlemen would do. It's like, "You're beautiful. I
Mm.
love you." I'm like, "That's creepy.
Woo!
How is this ever
That's
working in your
that's a
favor?" I
lot.
don't. I don't like seeing like you just don't like seeing that. You know?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Now that you've called me out, and I was trying to be careful not to be a horrible person, I appreciate it.
Hey,
You are a horrible
you can't say called me
respectfully.
out without meow.
In his defense, he did state about 3 times how he had like, well, I guess there's terrible people out there that have kids at home and they let it be known. But he kept stating about how he was married to my
I
sister.
I was talking in general about my family the whole time because I want to be very clear that I will engage in conversation with anybody, but I am not interested in anything else here. But this guy, all right, on my screen, this guy over here, meow meow, you know, he's got nothing going on. So why don't you talk to him?
Yeah.
He's got his cats. Yeah, I see you
Yeah.
looking back there. See, I do think though, in general, it is interesting if you took the time to just observe people well long enough. And I think it's the real point here is get a good rapport with your favorite bartender so they can be your wing person, since your brother-in-law might make you uncomfortable when he tries doing it. I think that might be the biggest takeaway here. Show this person that you are a good enough person that they are now going to advocate for you
That you're half
versus you're the whole time talking about this, like as it's coming out, I feel like it sounds like the movie was it Hitch with Will Smith, where he's like trying to teach people how
I
to,
hate Will Smith movies so much.
but like at least in theory, he's trying to show people how to be confident and like not, you know, be blubbering slobs. And then there's the jerk that comes in and like tries to use it for
Kinda
evil
ruins
instead
it.
of good. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that's more what I'm getting at here is, you know, use like be confident even if you don't feel it inside. Fake it till you make it, and don't be afraid to talk to people unless it is obvious they do not want your interaction. Please don't interact with people that do not want to.
And then at that point, walk away with your head down, shoulders slumped, and then maybe they'll feel bad for you.
Yes, go for the pity.
So your last ditch effort.
Yeah.
Mm.
The puppy eyes. Okay.
Mope it up a little bit.
Then you hear, wait. Maybe I'm sorry.
Wait, you dropped something. Aw.
Wait. Is this yours? Oh, thanks. Walk away. So I had other stuff I was going to talk about, but I think we've talked about it enough. You know, like there's the different people you might see at the bar, like the creepers versus the drunks, or the bar star, the wallflower. You know what I mean? Like I had friends that were such big. Like everybody in town knew them. Everybody loved hanging out and seeing them places and that sort of thing. And like that personality versus someone who just like is uncomfortable enough that they're just going to sit in the corner and observe everybody else having fun, which hopefully they're still having fun too. It's just, you know, I don't subscribe to the introvert versus extrovert. I think it's very much according to the situation you're in and your learning history, not some type of personality. You know what I mean? But maybe
Agreed.
that's a different episode just talking about that in the future, because we've already talked for an hour here. So
We
what
got
do you
we got our bar people figured out.
Yeah.
like I said, I think if we really wanted to do this justice, it would have been like a 5-parter and really dive into each one. But
Each personality.
This
yeah,
would have
I
been a
do.
good one to do while we were at Angry Chair.
Yeah.
Man,
We
we
gotta
gotta
go
go
back.
back.
Except by the end when I'm like holding the camera in front of my face talking, because I've had a few, you know, like that. Yeah, I do think out of all this, so the thing that I find the most interesting is that contingency control. You know, you don't have the rules about why that person walking the bar might be trouble, but you can just see by some of their mannerisms that is likely to be the person that you're going to have to worry about, either as the bartender or the bouncer or the patron. We also didn't talk about the bouncer behavior in the type of bar. And like, you go to a party bar, it's usually just someone acting tough. The best I can describe it is, and I don't want to discriminate against police whatsoever, but those people that you hope don't become officers because they're doing it for the power, not because they want to actually help people. That's the type of person you often see as the bouncer in those.
Little power grab.
Yeah, the power grab.
Some bouncers are scary looking individuals, though. I mean, they're doing their job well, whether they're doing it for the justice of the people or if they're just like inherently like intimidating. They're winning, and I'm not gonna mess with them.
I'm not messing with them.
There's a lot of people that just want a reason to fight, I think so. But
dude, I mean, the only times I've ever seen bar fights break out have been, and it was actually the only two were two in the same night, and it was bouncers. It was crazy.
Wow.
And it happened quite a bit back watching in the college days. I never ended up fighting a bouncer, but it could have happened, just never did. So, all right. Any other bar behavior you want to discuss before we sign off here? All right. Enough of this shenanigans. I've had enough of all this vulgarity from you all. This is a teetotaling type of podcast here. I don't know what you guys all have planned, but
fair.
To close it up, let's just be positive as always. You know what I mean? Look to the bright side of life. Don't go around telling all the entire football team to call you pretty. Just take it easy and enjoy the little things, because you just never know when that fourth pitcher of whiskey turns into a fifth one, and that hole outside just you don't see it all in your field of vision. That's it. So be careful.
Whiskey pitcher.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The pitcher night. You get half a pitcher of whiskey, but it was always that fifth one that did you in. So you just gotta be careful and watch out for those construction holes outside the bar, because it might be it. You never know.
They come up and snatch you.
Pennywise.
Yeah.